The New York morning sun filtered through the curtains of Mia Callahan's modest apartment, illuminating the toys scattered across the living room floor. Sitting by the window, she watched her quadruplets playing in the park across the street, their distant laughter echoing like a sweet melody in her ears. It had been exactly a year since Alex Foster, the father of her children and her ex-fiancé, had left her. The memories of that day still haunted her, but Mia refused to succumb to sadness. Her eyes, once watery with tears, now shone with determination. "Mommy, look what I found," shouted Olivia, the oldest of the quadruplets by mere minutes, holding up a golden leaf. Mia smiled and waved in response. Seeing her children happy was her balm, her driving force. As she watched the children, Mia couldn't help but flash back to that fateful night. 1 year ago, the luxurious restaurant was almost empty when Alex arrived, his face a mask of coldness that Mia had never seen before. "Mia, this isn't working," he said bluntly, his eyes fixed on some point beyond her. "My family, they don't approve, and I need to think about my future, about the company." The words hit her like a punch in the gut. "But Alex, what about the children? We're expecting 4 babies." "I know," he replied, his voice devoid of emotion. "I'll provide financial support, of course. But I can't be the father they deserve." Mia felt the world collapse around her. All the promises, the shared dreams, evaporated in an instant. Present, shaking her head to clear away the painful memories, Mia stood up. There was no time to get lost in the past. The future awaited her, and she was determined to make it bright, not just for herself, but above all for her children. Walking to her small makeshift office, Mia examined the sketches spread out on the table. Sketches of elegant, sustainable clothing. Her long dormant passion, now reborn with renewed vigor. A soft knock on the door made her turn around. Her mother, Evelyn, entered with a warm smile. "How are you, dear?" asked Evelyn, her eyes roaming over the drawings. Mia sighed, a mixture of anxiety and excitement in her voice. "I'm nervous, Mom. What if it doesn't work out? What if I can't make it work?" Evelyn moved closer, wrapping her daughter in a comforting hug. "Mia, my love, you're the strongest woman I know. You've overcome abandonment. You're raising 4 incredible children, and you've still found the strength to pursue your dream. You'll make it. I know it." Her mother's words ignited a flame of courage in Mia. She nodded, determined. "You're right. I'm going to make it happen. For me, and for my children." Together, mother and daughter began to plan the next steps for opening Mia's sustainable fashion boutique. With every idea discussed, every obstacle overcome on paper, Mia felt her confidence grow. When the quadruplets returned from the park, panting and smiling, Mia welcomed them with warm hugs. Looking at their innocent, full-of-life faces, she made a silent promise. She would build a bright future for all of them, no matter how difficult the path. That night, as she put the children to bed, Mia felt a change inside her. The fear and uncertainty that had haunted her for so long began to dissipate, giving way to a fierce determination. She was no longer just Mia, the abandoned woman. She was Mia Callahan, mother, entrepreneur, and survivor. With one last look at her sleeping children, Mia gently closed the bedroom door. Tomorrow would be the first day of the rest of her life, and she was ready to face any challenge that came her way. The road would be arduous, but Mia knew that with love, courage, and perseverance, she would not only survive, but thrive. The opening day of Mia Callahan's boutique dawned with a surprisingly clear New York sky. The small space on Christopher Street, in the heart of the West Village, was spotless. Mannequins displayed elegant pieces made from recycled and organic fabrics, each telling a story of sustainability and style. Mia nervously adjusted the collar of her blazer, her own creation in saffron-colored recycled linen. Her heart was racing, a mixture of anxiety and excitement pulsing through her veins. "Take a deep breath, darling," whispered Evelyn, giving her daughter's shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "You look beautiful, and this place is amazing." With a determined nod, Mia turned the sign on the door to open. Within minutes, the first customers began to trickle in, their eyes shining with curiosity and admiration. "This is simply stunning," exclaimed an elegant woman, running her fingers along a recycled silk dress. "Who's the designer?" Mia approached, heart pounding. "It's me, actually, Mia Callahan. Nice to meet you." The woman smiled, impressed. "Well, Mia Callahan, you've just gained a loyal client. I'm Vanessa Rossi, fashion editor at Vogue." Mia's world seemed to spin. Vanessa Rossi? Vanessa Rossi was in your store? She swallowed, forcing herself to keep her composure. "It's an honor, Mrs. Rossi. I hope you find something you like in our collection." As Vanessa explored the store, more customers arrived. With every compliment, every sale, Mia felt her confidence grow. This was her dream materializing before her eyes. On the other side of the city, in his office on the roof of a skyscraper, Alex Foster scrolled distractedly through the newsfeed on his tablet. One headline caught his eye. "New sustainable boutique shakes up NY fashion scene." His eyes widened when he saw the photo of Mia, radiant in her saffron blazer, cutting the opening ribbon. Alex felt a tightness in his chest. She looked happy, accomplished, everything he thought she would never be without him. "Mr. Foster?" His assistant's voice snapped him out of his thoughts. "Your board meeting starts in 5 minutes." He nodded, but his eyes remained fixed on Mia's image. Something inside him twitched. Jealousy? Regret? He wasn't sure. Back at the boutique, the day went by in a frenzy of activity. Mia barely had time to breathe between seeing customers, giving interviews to fashion blogs, and receiving compliments from renowned critics. "Mia, darling, you need to see this," Evelyn called out, waving her cell phone. It was an Instagram post by Vanessa Rossi, proudly showing off one of Mia's dresses. The caption read, "The future of sustainable fashion has a name, Mia Callahan, not to be missed." The tears Mia had been holding back all day finally overflowed. "Mom, we did it. We really did it." Evelyn hugged her tightly. "I always knew you'd do it, my love." Meanwhile, Alex couldn't get Mia out of his thoughts. He found himself typing her name into Google, eagerly reading every article about her new boutique. Guilt and regret began to eat away at his insides. "She's doing so well," he muttered to himself. Maybe I made a mistake." His fingers hovered over the keyboard, tempted to send a congratulatory message, but pride stopped him. Instead, he abruptly closed the laptop and poured himself a glass of whiskey. The sun was setting when Mia finally turned the sign to closed. Exhausted but exhilarated, she dropped into an armchair. "You were amazing today," said Evelyn, handing her a glass of champagne. "Here's to your success, darling." Mia smiled, raising her glass. To new beginnings. That night, lying in bed with the quadruplets sleeping peacefully in the next room, Mia reflected on the incredible day she had had. She had proved to herself, and to the world, that she was capable of so much more than she had ever imagined. As sleep enveloped her, one last thought crossed her mind. "Thank you, Alex, for leaving me. You freed me to become who I was meant to be." On the other side of town, Alex Foster stared at the illuminated city through the window of his penthouse apartment, an untouched glass of whiskey in his hand. The image of Mia, smiling and successful, haunted him. For the first time in a long time, he wondered if he had made the right decision in letting her go. The success of Mia Callahan's boutique was growing every day. 3 months after opening, her store was already a must for fashionistas and conscious celebrities. One sunny Saturday morning, Mia was organizing a new window display when her mobile vibrated. It was an Instagram notification. "Alex Foster official has started following you." Mia's heart leapt. After so long, why would Alex be interested in her life now? She hesitated for a moment before opening his profile. The first photo made her freeze. Alex, smiling broadly, holding his quadruplets in a park. "Perfect day with my little treasures. Proud father," the caption read. Mia felt a wave of nausea. The photo had been taken last week, during Alex's scheduled visit. He had never posted photos of the children before. What had changed? Across town, in the luxurious offices of Foster Enterprises, Alex anxiously watched the statistics of his recent post. The comments were mostly positive, praising his role as a devoted father, just what his new image advisor had predicted. "You see, Mr. Foster," said Nathan Green, the advisor, with a satisfied smile. "The public loves to see powerful CEOs in their role as loving fathers. It humanizes their image." Alex nodded distractedly, his eyes fixed on the screen. "What about the children's mother? Won't she object to that?" Nathan shrugged. "Legally, you have every right to post photos of your children. Besides, Ms. Callahan should be happy about the positive exposure." But Alex wasn't so sure. He knew Mia, or at least he thought he did. She had always been protective of children. Back at the boutique, Mia struggled to concentrate on her work. Her mind was in turmoil. Why was Alex doing this now? Did he really want to be more involved in the children's lives, or was it just a PR move? "Mia." The voice of his assistant, Lena, brought her back to reality. "There's a call for you. It's from Mr. Foster's office." With her heart racing, Mia answered. "Hello?" "Ms. Callahan." A male voice, not Alex's, sounded on the other end. "This is Nathan Green, Mr. Foster's advisor. We'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss some matters relating to the children." Mia felt her blood run cold. "What kind of issues?" "Mr. Foster is considering applying for shared custody," Nathan replied, his voice cold and professional. "He feels it can offer more stability and opportunities for the children." Mia's world seemed to fall apart. Shared custody? After all this time? "That's ridiculous," she managed to say. "Alex barely sees the children. He knows nothing about their routines, their needs." "With all due respect, Ms. Callahan," Nathan interrupted, "Mr. Foster is their father and has legal rights. I suggest we talk in person to avoid misunderstandings." Mia hung up the phone, shaking. She leaned on the counter, trying to breathe. This couldn't be happening. Not now, not when everything finally seemed to be working out. That night, after putting the quadruplets to bed, Mia sat in the living room with her mother, Evelyn, and her best friend, Zoe Chen, a family lawyer. "He can't do that, can he?" Mia asked, her voice breaking. "He abandoned them, Zoe, for almost 2 years. He barely saw them." Zoe sighed, her face serious. "Legally, Alex has rights. But his history of absence doesn't play in his favor. What worries me is the power and influence he has. He could make this a long and expensive battle." Evelyn held Mia's hand. "We're going to fight, sweetheart. We won't let him take the babies away from you." Mia nodded, determined despite her tears. "No matter what it takes, I won't let him use our children as pawns in some public relations game." Meanwhile, in his penthouse apartment, Alex stared out at the city through the panoramic window, a glass of whiskey in his hand. The photo of the quadruplets smiled at him from a frame on the table. "What am I doing?" he muttered to himself. For a moment, the mask of ruthless CEO fell away, revealing a confused and regretful man. But then his phone rang. It was his father. "Alex," Richard Foster's authoritative voice sounded, "I've seen the photos with the children. Great PR move. Now it's time to take the next step. Bring them into the Foster family once and for all." Alex closed his eyes, feeling the weight of his father's expectations. "Yes, Dad. I'll do whatever it takes." When he hung up, Alex looked again at the photo of the quadruplets. For the first time in a long time, he wondered if he was doing the right thing, not for the business or the Foster family image, but for his children and, perhaps, for himself. Chapter 4. Hearts in conflict. The Manhattan family court was packed that Wednesday morning. Mia Callahan sat rigidly next to her lawyer, Zoe Chen, her eyes fixed on the door through which Alex Foster would enter at any moment. Her heart was beating frantically, a mixture of fear and determination pulsing through her veins. "Remember," whispered Zoe, "stay calm no matter what. We're well prepared." Mia nodded, clutching the folder of documents in her lap. Inside, there were meticulous records of every doctor's appointment, school meeting, and development milestone that Alex had missed over the last few years. The door opened and Alex walked in, impeccable in his Armani suit, followed by his lawyer, a middle-aged man with a calculating look. Alex's eyes met Mia's for a brief moment, and she was surprised to see a spark of guilt, regret. But it soon disappeared, replaced by the cold mask of the ruthless businessman she knew so well. "All rise," announced the court clerk as Judge Eleanor Hawkins entered. A middle-aged woman with gray hair and piercing eyes, she surveyed those present with a penetrating gaze. "We are here today for the preliminary hearing in the case of Guard Foster versus Callahan," the judge began. "I'd like to hear from Mr. Foster's lawyer first." Alex's lawyer stood up, adjusting his tie. "Your Honor, my client, Mr. Alexander Foster, is seeking shared custody of his 4 children. As the successful CEO of Foster Enterprises, he has the financial means and stability to provide the children with a life of exceptional opportunity." Mia felt her blood boil. Opportunities. Where was Alex when the babies had colic, when they took their first steps? "What about Mr. Foster's history of involvement in the children's lives?" asked the judge, arching an eyebrow. The lawyer hesitated for a moment. "We admit that there have been gaps in the past, but Mr. Foster is committed to correcting those mistakes and being a present father from now on." It was Zoe's turn to stand up. "Your Honor, if I may, I would like to present evidence of Mr. Foster's history of absence in the quadruplets' lives." The judge nodded, and Zoe began to meticulously detail every occasion on which Alex had been absent: missed birthdays, missed doctor's appointments, missed school recitals. Mia watched Alex out of the corner of her eye. He looked uncomfortable, fidgeting in his chair as Zoe spoke. For a moment, their gazes met again, and Mia saw something that surprised her. Shame. "Mr. Foster." The judge's voice cut through the air. "What do you have to say about these allegations?" Alex stood up slowly, adjusting his jacket. "Your Honor, I made mistakes. Many mistakes. But I'm here today because I want to do the right thing for my children." "The right thing?" Mia couldn't contain her indignation. "Where were you when they needed you?" "Ms. Callahan," warned the judge, but Alex held up her hand. "No, she's right to ask," he said, his voice surprisingly soft. "The truth is that I was afraid of not being a good father, afraid of disappointing my family, afraid of falling completely in love with those children and then losing them." Silence fell over the room. Mia looked at Alex, shocked by his sudden honesty. "But now," he continued, "now I know that the biggest mistake I made was not being there for them, and for Mia." He turned to face her directly. "I'm sorry, Mia. More than you can imagine." Mia felt tears forming in her eyes, a confusing mix of emotions swirling in her chest. Anger, hurt, but also a twinge of understanding. Judge Hawkins observed the scene with attentive eyes. "It's clear that there's a lot to be discussed here. I'm going to schedule a series of mediation sessions before we make any decision on custody. I want to see the two of you working together for the sake of the children." As the session drew to a close, Mia found herself standing in the court corridor, her mind a whirlwind. Alex approached her hesitantly. "Mia, he began, but she held up her hand. "Not here, Alex. Not now." Her voice trembled slightly. "If you really want to be part of their lives, you're going to have to prove it. With actions, not words." Alex nodded, a look of determination in his eyes. I'll prove it, Mia, I promise. As Mia walked out of the courtroom, she couldn't help thinking that maybe, just maybe, there was a chance that this whole painful situation could lead to something positive. Not for her, not for Alex, but for the 4 little lives that depended on them. The road ahead would be difficult, full of difficult conversations and complex emotions. But for the first time since it all began, Mia felt a tiny spark of hope. Perhaps, together, they could find a way through this emotional maze, however difficult it might be. Autumn had arrived in New York, painting Central Park in shades of amber and red. Mia Callahan walked slowly through the park, pushing the double stroller in which the younger twins, Liam and Sophia, slept peacefully. Next to her, the older ones, Ethan and Olivia, ran ahead, their laughter echoing in the fresh morning air. "Mommy, look," shouted Ethan, pointing to a squirrel running with a nut. "Can I feed him?" Mia smiled, feeling a pang in her heart. Ethan had the same curious eyes as Alex. "No, dear. The squirrels need to find their own food to prepare for winter." While the children played, Mia reflected on the last few weeks. The mediation sessions with Alex had been surprising. He seemed genuinely remorseful, making visible efforts to be more involved in the quadruplets' lives. His phone vibrated. It was a message from Alex. "Can I join you in the park?" Mia hesitated for a moment before replying. "Sure, we're near the carousel." 15 minutes later, Alex appeared, dressed casually in jeans and a gray sweater, a far cry from the ruthless businessman she used to see. "Daddy!" shouted Ethan and Olivia in unison, rushing to hug him. Mia watched the scene with mixed emotions. It was undeniable that the children adored Alex, and seeing him interacting so naturally with them made her heart squeeze. "Hi, Mia," Alex said softly, approaching the stroller. "How are the little ones?" "Sleeping like angels," she replied, surprised by the ease of the conversation. "Do you want to hold them?" Alex nodded, carefully picking Sophia up. The baby opened her eyes, letting out a small yawn before snuggling into her father's chest. "She's got your smile," Alex murmured, looking at Mia with an expression she couldn't decipher. They walked side by side, watching Ethan and Olivia play. The silence between them was comfortable, almost familiar. "Mia," Alex began hesitantly, I wanted to tell you something, about why I left." Mia felt her heart racing. "Alex, I don't know if—" "Please," he interrupted gently. "You deserve to know the truth." They sat down on a nearby bench, the children playing a few meters away. Alex took a deep breath. "When we found out they were quadruplets, I panicked. Not for what you might think. It wasn't about money or responsibility. It was about my father." Mia looked at him, confused. "Your father?" "Yes. You know he's always been controlling. What you don't know is that he has a twin brother. A brother he cut off from the family decades ago." Alex continued, his voice shaking. "My father always saw the twins as a threat, a potential division of the empire he'd built. When he found out we were going to have 4 babies, he gave me an ultimatum. Either I stayed away from you and the children, or he would disown us completely." Mia felt as if the air had been knocked out of her lungs. "But why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was a coward," Alex admitted, tears in his eyes. "I was afraid of losing everything, the company, the money, the status, and in the process, I lost what really mattered." Silence fell between them, heavy with unspoken revelations and regrets. "Why now?" Mia finally asked. "Why go back now?" Alex looked at the children, a sad smile on his lips. "Because I've finally realized that none of this is worth it without them. Without you." Mia felt her heart leap. She wanted to be angry, wanted to scream at Alex for all the nights she'd spent crying, for all the moments he'd missed. But looking at him now, holding his daughter so carefully, she only felt a deep sadness for the time lost. "Alex, she began, but was interrupted by Ethan running towards her. "Mom, Dad, look what I found." The boy held up a particularly beautiful leaf, his eyes shining with excitement, at that moment, looking at her children and Alex. Mia realized that the road ahead would be complex. There were deep wounds to be healed, trust to be rebuilt, but maybe, just maybe, there was hope for a new beginning. "It's beautiful, darling," Mia smiled, picking up the sheet. She looked at Alex, seeing in him the same conflict of emotions she felt. "What do you think, Alex? Should we keep it as a souvenir of this day?" Alex nodded, a hesitant smile on his lips. "I think that's a great idea." As the sun began to set, painting the New York sky in shades of pink and orange, Mia and Alex walked back home, the quadruplets between them. The future was still uncertain, full of challenges and difficult conversations. But at that moment, with the autumn leaf tucked carefully in Mia's pocket, there was a sense of possibility in the air, the possibility of healing, forgiveness, and, perhaps, a new chapter for their unconventional family. Lawyer Zoe Chen's office was tense that Thursday afternoon. Mia sat stiffly in a leather chair, her fingers drumming nervously on the mahogany desk. Across from her, Zoe was examining a pile of documents, her face a mask of worry. "Mia," Zoe began, taking off her glasses. "Things are getting complicated. Alex's lawyer has filed a formal request for shared custody, and they're using all the power and influence of the Foster family." Mia felt her stomach turn. Despite recent positive interactions with Alex, the reality of the legal battle still hung over them like a dark cloud. But what about all the evidence we have? His years of absence? Mia asked, her voice trembling. Zoe sighed deeply. "They're arguing that Alex has undergone a personal transformation. They're presenting testimonies from psychologists, reports of his recent involvement in the children's lives. And Mia, they're questioning your ability to provide long-term financial stability." The words hit Mia like a punch in the gut. "What do you mean? My boutique is doing well, I know," Zoe interrupted gently. "But they're comparing your income with the Foster's fortune. They're implying that the children would have more opportunities with Alex." Mia felt the tears burn in her eyes. All the struggle, all the effort to build her life and her business, and now it was being used against her. Just then, Mia's phone vibrated. It was a message from Alex. "Can we talk? It's important." With a heavy heart, Mia said goodbye to Zoe and stepped out into the cold New York air. Her steps automatically led her to the small cafe where she and Alex used to meet in the early days of their relationship. Alex was already there when she arrived, 2 steaming cups of coffee on the table in front of him. Their eyes met, and Mia saw a mixture of guilt and determination in his gaze. "Mia," Alex began as soon as she sat down, "I need to tell you something. My father, he's pushing to intensify the custody battle." Mia felt her heart squeeze. "What do you mean?" Alex ran a hand through his hair, clearly agitated. "He wants us to use all the family's resources to secure full custody. He's threatened to remove me from the business if I don't go through with it." "And what are you going to do?" Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex's eyes met hers, full of conflict. "I don't know, Mia. I want to be part of the children's lives, but not like this, not at the expense of hurting them. Or you." For a moment, Mia saw the man she had fallen in love with years ago, vulnerable, honest, fighting against the suffocating expectations of his family. "Alex," she said softly, "you need to decide what's more important, your father's approval or our children's well-being." He nodded slowly, the realization of the weight of his decision evident on his face. "I know, and that's why I wanted to see you. I have a plan, but I need your help." Mia arched an eyebrow, curious and apprehensive. "What kind of plan?" Alex leaned forward, lowering his voice. "What if we could expose my father? Show the court the kind of manipulation and pressure he exerts. I have proof, Mia. Evidence of shady deals. Of how he alienated my uncle from the family. Mia was stunned. Alex, are you talking about going against your own family? I'm talking about doing the right thing, he replied, a fierce determination in his eyes. For us. For our children. Silence fell between them, heavy with the weight of the decision ahead of them. Mia stared out of the cafe window, watching people pass by, oblivious to the drama unfolding inside. Finally, she turned to Alex. If we do this, there's no going back. Are you prepared for the consequences? Alex took her hand on the table, a gesture that surprised her with its familiarity. I'm prepared to fight for our family, Mia. For real, this time. At that moment, looking into Alex's eyes, Mia felt a confusing mix of emotions, fear, hope, and something else she wasn't ready to name. Okay, she finally said. We'll do it. But Alex, if it goes wrong? It won't, he interrupted, squeezing her hand. Together, we're stronger than anything my father can throw at us. As they walked out of the cafe side by side, Mia couldn't help feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. The coming storm would be intense, but maybe, just maybe, they would find the rainbow on the other side. The sun was setting over New York, casting long shadows across the streets. Mia and Alex walked in silence, each lost in their own thoughts, but united by a common purpose. The battle ahead would be the hardest they had ever faced, but for the first time in a long time, they would face it together. Sunday morning dawned gray and rainy, reflecting Mia's state of mind as she prepared for a day that could change everything. She looked at the quadruplets, still asleep in their beds, and felt a wave of determination run through her body. For their sake, she would face any storm. Alex's plan was bold and risky. They were going to meet Richard Foster, the family patriarch, under the guise of a reconciliation meeting. But the real aim was to confront him with the evidence Alex had collected over the years. At 10 a.m. sharp, Mia arrived at the Fosters' imposing mansion in the Hamptons. Alex was waiting for her in the driveway, his face a mask of tension. Ready? He asked, his voice low and determined. Mia nodded, adjusting the bag in which she carried a small tape recorder, an extra precaution that Zoe had insisted on. They were led to Richard's office, an imposing room overlooking the ocean. The Foster patriarch was waiting for them, seated behind a massive oak desk, his gaze cold and calculating. Alexander, Mia, he greeted, his voice devoid of any warmth. I hope this meeting will be productive. Alex stepped forward, his posture erect and defiant. Dad, before we start, there's something I need to say. Richard arched an eyebrow, puzzled. Go ahead. I know everything, Alex began, his voice firm. About Uncle James, about the shady deals in Asia, about how you manipulated the board to keep potential rivals away. Richard's face paled for a moment, before contorting into a mask of fury. What are you talking about, kid? Be careful with your accusations. Alex threw a folder on the table. They're not accusations, Dad. They're facts. I have proof of everything. Mia watched the scene unfold, her heart beating frantically. She saw the exact moment when Richard realized he was cornered, his eyes narrowing dangerously. The weeks that followed the confrontation with Richard Foster were a roller coaster of emotions and changes. Mia watched, with a mixture of caution and hope, as Alex strove to keep his promises and become a constant presence in the quadruplets' lives. One sunny Saturday afternoon, Mia was in her boutique, organizing the new autumn collection, when the doorbell rang. To her surprise, Alex walked in, carrying her 4 children. Surprise! Exclaimed Olivia, running to hug her mother. Dad said we could come and see you at work. Mia looked at Alex, a silent question in her eyes. He smiled, a little awkwardly. I hope we don't mind. The kids were missing you, and I wanted to see how things were going here. For a moment, Mia felt a wave of contradictory emotions. It was strange to see Alex there, in her space, the world she had built all by herself. But at the same time, there was something comforting about seeing him interacting so naturally with the children in his environment. "No, don't mind," she finally replied, a small smile forming on her lips. "Actually, you're just in time. I need some models to test out the new children's pieces." The children's eyes lit up, and soon the boutique turned into a small chaos of laughter and colorful fabrics. Mia watched, half amused, half thrilled, as Alex helped Liam put on a small recycled linen vest. "You're doing a great job here, Mia," Alex commented, looking around the store with genuine admiration. "It's amazing to see how you've turned your dream into reality." Mia felt a warmth in her chest at the sincere compliment. "Thank you, Alex. It wasn't easy, but you did it," he added, his eyes meeting hers. "You've always been the stronger of the two of us." The moment was interrupted by Sophia, who came running, tripping over a dress that was too long for her. Alex took her in his arms, laughing, and Mia couldn't help noticing how at ease he seemed. So different from the hesitant, distant man he was before. As the afternoon progressed, customers came in and out of the store, many delighted by the sight of the quadruplets modeling children's clothes. Mia realized, with a twinge of surprise, that the presence of Alex and the children was not an intrusion into her world, but an unexpected addition. When it was time to close up store, Alex helped organize the mess the children had made, working side by side with Mia in comfortable silence. "How about we all have dinner together?" he suggested, as he helped Ethan put on his shoes. "There's a new Italian restaurant 2 blocks from here that the kids would love." Mia hesitated for a moment. Dinner with the family. It was something she had dreamed of so many times, but which had always seemed out of reach. Now the reality was there, within reach. "All right," she agreed, surprising herself with the ease of the decision. "But you pay," she added with a mischievous smile. Dinner was a surreal experience, sitting around a large table, with the quadruplets chattering animatedly about their day. Mia found herself truly relaxing for the first time in years. Alex told silly jokes that made the children laugh, and for a moment, it seemed as if they were just a normal family, enjoying a meal together. Halfway through dessert, as Mia helped Sophia eat her gelato, she caught Alex looking at her with an expression she couldn't quite decipher. There was admiration there, certainly, but also something else. Regret? Hope. When they finally left the restaurant, the children drowsy and satisfied, Alex offered to take them home. In the car, with the quadruplets asleep in the back seat, a comfortable silence settled between them. "Thanks for today, Mia," Alex said softly as he parked in front of her building. It was perfect." Mia nodded, feeling a lump in her throat. "It was good," she admitted. "The children loved having you around." Alex hesitated for a moment, before turning to face her fully. "Mia, I know we still have a long way to go. I know I've hurt you in ways that may never be completely healed. But I want you to know that I'm committed to making this work. For them," he gestured to the sleeping children, "and for us." Mia felt her heart race. There was so much to be said, so many wounds still open, but at that moment, looking at Alex and his children, she felt a wave of possibility. "One day at a time, Alex," she replied softly. "We're rebuilding. And today was a good start." As she picked up the children and carried them inside, Alex helped her, carrying the bags and the sleeping Liam. At the apartment door, they said goodbye with a look full of unspoken emotions. Later, lying on her bed, Mia reflected on the day. It had been unexpected, confusing, and surprisingly wonderful. The road ahead was still uncertain, full of challenges and difficult conversations. But for the first time in a long time, Mia allowed herself to dream of a future where her family, although unconventional, could be truly united. With this comforting thought, she fell asleep, a small smile playing on her lips, while the soft sound of her children's breathing filled the apartment with a sense of peace that had long been absent. "What do you want, Alexander?" Richard hissed, his voice laced with venom. "I want you to stop," Alex replied, his voice trembling slightly. "Stop interfering in my life, in my children's lives. Let me be the father they deserve, without your manipulations or threats." Richard stood up abruptly, his chair scraping on the wooden floor. "You have no idea what you're doing. I built this empire with my own hands." "At the expense of your family," Mia interjected, unable to contain herself. "At the cost of your own son's happiness." Richard's eyes turned to her, cold as ice. "You," he spat. "You're the reason for all this. If Alex had never met you—" "Enough!" Alex shouted, his voice echoing through the office. "Mia's not the problem, Dad. She never was. The problem is you, your obsession with control, your fear of losing power." A heavy silence fell over the room. Richard looked from Alex to Mia, his expression a mixture of anger and something else. Fear, perhaps. "What do you want?" he finally asked, his voice tired. Alex took a deep breath. "I want you to withdraw the request for custody. I want you to let me work with Mia to raise our children, without your interference, and I want you to recognize the damage you've done to our family." Richard was silent for a long moment, his eyes fixed on the view of the ocean beyond the window. When he finally turned around, there was a vulnerability in his eyes that Mia had never seen before. "You really love her, don't you?" he asked softly, looking at Alex. Alex looked at Mia, his eyes full of emotion. "Yes," he replied simply. "She and the children mean everything to me." Richard nodded slowly. I've made mistakes, Alexander. A lot of mistakes. Maybe it's time to correct them." The next few hours were a roller coaster of emotions. Richard, surprisingly, opened up. He talked about his own absent father, about the constant fear of losing everything he had built. For the first time, Mia saw the man behind the mask of the ruthless business tycoon. When they finally left the mansion, it was already evening. The rain had stopped, and a faint rainbow shone on the horizon. "Do you think he'll keep his word?" Mia asked, as they walked to the car. Alex sighed, slipping his arm around her shoulders, a gesture that felt both strange and familiar. "I think so. For the first time in my life, I saw my father really scared, not of what we could do, but of what he could lose." Mia nodded, allowing herself to relax against Alex. "What happens now?" "Now," Alex said, a small smile forming on his lips. "Now we go home, to our children, and we start building something new." As they drove back to the city, Mia looked at Alex. The man next to her was no longer the frightened young man who had abandoned her years ago, nor the cold businessman who had tried to take away her children. He was someone new, someone who had faced his demons and chosen love above all else. The future was still uncertain. There was much to be resolved and healed. But at that moment, with the sun setting behind them and the promise of a new beginning ahead, Mia felt, for the first time in a long time, real hope blossom in her heart. Autumn in New York was in full swing, the trees in Central Park displaying an explosion of golden and reddish colors. Mia walked through the park, absorbed in her thoughts, the dry leaves crunching under her feet. The last few months had been an emotional roller coaster, with Alex becoming an increasingly constant presence in her and the quadruplets' lives. Her phone vibrated, snapping her out of her reverie. It was a message from Alex. "Can we meet? I need to talk to you about something important." Mia's heart leapt. Lately, her interactions with Alex had become easier, almost comfortable. But there were still times when she found herself with her guard up, waiting for the next twist. They agreed to meet at a small cafe near the park. When Mia arrived, Alex was already there, 2 steaming cups of coffee on the table in front of him. There was something in her eyes. Anxiety, perhaps. "Hi," she said, taking a seat. Is everything all right? The children? The children are fine, Alex interrupted her gently. Actually, it's us I wanted to talk about. Mia felt her stomach knot up. Us. Alex took a deep breath, as if preparing for something. Mia, these last few months have been incredible. Seeing you with the children, building this new dynamic together. It's made me realize something. He paused, his eyes meeting hers. I still love you, Mia. I don't think I've ever really stopped loving. The world seemed to freeze around them. Mia felt as if the air had been ripped from her lungs. Part of her wanted to get up and run, to protect her already battered heart. But another part, wanted to throw herself into his arms and never let go. Alex, she began, her voice trembling. Wait, he said, taking her hand on the table. I know it's complicated. I know I've hurt you deeply, and that I may never be able to fully make up for it. But I also know that what we have now, this family we're rebuilding, is something special. Mia felt tears forming in her eyes. Alex, it's not that simple. We have the children to think about, our history. I know, he nodded, gently squeezing her hand. I'm not asking for an answer now. I just wanted you to know how I feel, and that, if you're willing, I'd like to try again, this time, doing everything right. Silence fell between them, heavy with the weight of unspoken words and raw emotions. Mia stared out of the cafe window, watching people pass by, oblivious to the drama unfolding inside. I need time, she finally said, her voice almost a whisper, to think, to process all this. Alex nodded, a mixture of understanding and hope in his eyes. Of course, take all the time you need. I'll be here. When Mia left the cafe, her mind was in turmoil. She walked aimlessly through the park, mentally going over the last few months. The children's laughter when Alex took them for a walk, the quiet moments in the kitchen, preparing dinner side by side. The way he looked at her sometimes, as if she were the most precious thing in the world. But there were also the painful memories, the crushing loneliness of the first months of pregnancy, the sleepless nights, looking after 4 babies on her own, the constant fear that everything could be taken away from her at any moment. Without realizing it, Mia found herself in front of the boutique. She entered, the familiar scent of new fabrics and soft perfume enveloping her like a hug. This was her sanctuary, the place she had built from scratch, living proof of her strength and resilience. Zoe, her best friend and lawyer, showed up shortly afterwards, answering Mia's desperate call for someone to talk to. He said he loves you, Zoe repeated, incredulous, after Mia had spilled the whole story. Wow, that's intense. Mia nodded, sinking into an armchair. I don't know what to do, Zoe. Part of me wants to believe him, to give him a chance. But another part is afraid, Zoe added softly. Exactly, Mia sighed. What if it doesn't work out? What if he hurts me again? It's not just me now, I have 4 children to think about. Zoe sat down next to her friend, taking her hand. Mia, look. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that I've seen the change in Alex over the last few months. He really seems to be making an effort. Mia nodded slowly. I know, it's scary, Zoe, opening my heart again. Love is always scary, Zoe smiled, but sometimes it's worth the risk. Zoe's words echoed in Mia's mind for the rest of the day. As she closed the boutique and prepared to return home to her children, she found herself thinking about all the possibilities the future could bring. That night, after putting the quadruplets to bed, Mia stood on the balcony of her apartment, looking out at the city lights. New York, the city that never sleeps, seemed to pulsate with life and possibilities. Her phone vibrated with a message from Alex. Good night, Mia. I just wanted you to know that, no matter what you decide, I'll always be here for you and our children. Mia smiled softly, feeling a wave of warmth in her chest. The future was still uncertain, full of possible pitfalls and challenges. But for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to imagine a tomorrow where love, family, and personal fulfillment were not mutually exclusive concepts. With a deep sigh, she sent a reply. "Good evening, Alex. How about dinner, just the two of us, tomorrow night? I think we have a lot to talk about." As she waited for the reply, Mia looked once again at the city below. The fear was still there, but now it was accompanied by something else. Hope. And maybe, she thought, maybe hope was the first step towards a new beginning. The restaurant Mia had chosen for dinner with Alex was small and cozy, tucked away on a quiet street in the West Village. The soft lights and jazz music in the background created an intimate atmosphere, perfect for the conversation to come. Mia arrived first, her heart beating fast as she sat down at the table. She nervously smoothed out the emerald green dress she had chosen, one of her own creations, a symbol of everything she had achieved in recent years. When Alex entered, his eyes immediately met hers. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. There stood the man she had loved, lost and, perhaps, found again. "You look beautiful," Alex said softly, taking a seat opposite her. Mia smiled, a slight blush tinging her cheeks. "Thank you. You don't look bad yourself." They placed their orders, and an expectant silence fell over the table. Finally, Mia took a deep breath and began, "Alex, I've been thinking a lot about what you said to me yesterday, about us, about trying again." Alex nodded, his eyes fixed on her, waiting. "The truth is," Mia continued, her voice trembling slightly, "that part of me never stopped loving you either. But another part is afraid of getting hurt again, afraid that things might go wrong and affect the children." Alex reached across the table, taking her hand gently. "I understand, Mia, and I want you to know that I have my fears too. Fears of not being the father and partner you deserve, but I'm willing to face those fears, to work hard every day to be better." Mia felt tears forming in her eyes. "How can we be sure that it will work out this time?" "We can't," Alex answered honestly, "but what I can promise is that I will never run away again, that I'll face any challenge by your side if you let me." Dinner arrived, and they ate in contemplative silence, each lost in their own thoughts. When they had finished, Alex suggested a walk. They walked hand in hand along the High Line, the elevated park illuminated softly against the New York night sky. The city buzzed around them, but at that moment, it felt like they were the only two people in the world. "You know," Mia began, pausing to look at the view, "when you left, I thought my world had ended, but then I discovered a strength I didn't know I had. I've built a life, a business, raised our children." Alex looked at her with admiration. "You're incredible, Mia. You always have been, and I regret every day that I wasn't there to see it." Mia turned to face him. "If we do this, Alex, it has to be different. It has to be a real partnership, equals." "That's all I want," he replied, his voice full of emotion. "To be your partner, your support, my love," Mia added softly. Alex nodded, his eyes shining with unshed tears. "Your love." At that moment, under the New York stars, Mia made her decision. She leaned forward, her lips meeting Alex's in a soft kiss, full of promise and possibility. When they broke apart, they were both smiling, a mixture of joy and relief on their faces. "So," Alex said, his forehead resting against hers, "what do we do now?" Mia laughed softly. "Now we go home, to our children, and we start this new chapter together." The next morning, Mia's apartment was full of laughter and organized chaos. The quadruplets ran around excitedly, helping or hindering to prepare breakfast. "Is Daddy going to live with us now?" asked Olivia, her eyes shining with hope. Mia and Alex exchanged a look. "Not exactly, darling," Mia explained gently. "Dad's going to have his own apartment for now, but he'll be here a lot more, and we'll do lots of things together as a family." As a team, exclaimed Ethan, raising his cereal spoon as if it were a sword. Alex laughed, ruffling his son's hair. Exactly, champ. We're a team. As she watched Alex interact with the children, Mia felt a wave of peace wash over her. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges, arguments, moments of doubt. But looking at her family together, she knew it would be worth it. Later that day, Mia was in her boutique, finalizing the details of her new collection. Alex appeared at the door, carrying a bouquet of wildflowers, her favorite. To celebrate our new beginning, he said, handing her the flowers. Mia smiled, inhaling the soft scent. Thank you. They're perfect. Alex looked around the store, admiring Mia's creations. You know, I was thinking, maybe we could expand your business, open more stores, maybe a children's line. Mia arched an eyebrow. Are you trying to become my partner, Mr. Foster? Alex laughed. Only if you want to. I'm here to support your dreams, Mia, whatever they may be. At that moment, looking at Alex, Mia felt a certainty she hadn't felt for years. This was the man she loved, the father of her children, her partner in life, and together, they could face anything. How about we start with a family dinner tonight, she suggested. You cook. Alex smiled, pulling her into a hug. Sounds perfect. As the sun set over New York, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, Mia and Alex walked hand in hand back home, to their children, to their future. The road that had brought them there had been long and winding, full of pain and regrets. But it was also a path of growth, self-discovery and, in the end, renewed love. As they climbed the stairs of the building, the sounds of the children's laughter echoing from above, Mia knew that this was no fairy tale happy ending. It was a new beginning, a beginning full of promise, challenges, and, above all, love. And for Mia Callahan and Alex Foster, this new beginning was more than enough. It was everything they had ever wanted. If you were in Mia's shoes, would you be able to forgive Alex and give the relationship a second chance? Or would the fear of getting hurt again be stronger? Share your opinion in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below letting us know what you thought. Your feedback and support mean a lot to us. Stay tuned for more exciting stories.